Professor Akram here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a WebGL export of your game. Now, if you are just getting started with Unity and you're working through the micro games, as you go through the tutorials, one of the options at the very end is to publish your game. And you will see up here at the top in your main menu that there is a publish menu item, and this is to publish a WebGL project. Now, a WebGL version of a game is basically one that is converted to HTML5 and allows the players to play the game in the web browser. It makes it very convenient for players to be able to access the game. They don't have to download anything. They can just go to the internet and play in the browser. Excellent resource for game designers if they want to quickly share and playtest these games with others. The question is where to upload your game. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this published menu item appears with the microgames and the built-in tutorials inside of Unity. And when you press the WebGL project, it will automatically upload your game to the Unity Play site. Play.unity.com is a website for allowing Unity users to share their games online. And so it creates WebGL versions of your game and allows you to upload them on the site. And here you can see some of the featured games that have been put up and some of the showcase games, so forth and so forth. Now, the Unity Play site is a great resource if you're trying to showcase all of your Unity games. But for many game developers, you're not just creating Unity games. You could be creating a variety of different types of games. You may even be creating physical games along with digital games, or maybe even game assets. And if you want to create a resource where all of your projects are in one location, then I highly recommend taking a look at itch.io. So very similar to the Unity Play, you can upload your projects to itch.io. You can upload WebGL versions, you can upload exe versions that need to be downloaded. You can upload print-to-play games, game assets, and so forth. And it's just a little nicer to have all of your game development projects on one portfolio site, such as Itch, versus having just Unity games on the Unity Play Store. You can use both of them, but I highly recommend taking a look at the itch.io portfolio site. If we go back to the Unity editor here, as I was saying, the publish only publishes WebGL files to the Unity Play Store. However, if you do want to upload your project to a different location, you're going to need to actually go through the process a little bit differently. The first thing you're going to do is make sure that you have all of your files saved, you've saved your scene, and you're going to go up to File and Build Settings. At the top of the build settings dialog, the first thing you'll notice is the scenes in the build. You can identify which scenes get exported out as part of the game build. And you can see we have the tutorial scene, the intro scene, the win scene, and the lose scene. These are all dynamic, which one you'll see after the menu scene, and so forth. So if we're running through the tutorial and we've edited and made our changes, we're just going to leave all these scenes in the build settings. What we do want to do is we want to go to where it says WebGL version, and we want to switch to this platform. It has not been activated. So again, I'm going to go to WebGL, switch to platform. It takes a few moments for it to switch to the WebGL platform. Once you have switched to WebGL version, you will notice down here at the bottom we've got our build and run. Now, before we even mess with any of this, one of the things that we're going to want to do is change the compression format of the WebGL build. Unity made some updates in 2020 that when you create the WebGL build, it does not actually upload correctly to itch.io due to the compression settings. In order to resolve this conflict, we're going to go up to Edit and Project Settings. and we're going to go to the player tab, and down at the bottom here is the compression format. And again, the default for 2020 is the Brotilli. That is not compatible with itch.io, so we want to choose the gzip format. Now that we have that, all we have to do is close out the project settings. Inside of our WebGL, I mentioned earlier, we have the build and build run option. The build option allows us to simply build the export of the game. However, if we choose build and run, it will actually open up a preview after the game has been exported. Now, this preview is just that. It will open up in the browser window, allow us to see if it exported correctly. The minute we close that browser window, the game will be inaccessible. Now, I mentioned earlier that a WebGL build creates an HTML or a series of HTML files that are run on the browser. Now, not only are they run on the browser, but they must be run on a server. So you can't actually play them once you've downloaded the export. It's got to be uploaded somewhere. And that's what the run does. It temporarily uploads it up to Unity Cloud to let you test it and make sure that it exported correctly before moving on. Now, once we upload it to our itch portfolio, it's going to be on a server and allow us to play it in the browser. So I'm simply going to hit the build and run button. And the first thing it's going to ask you is, where do you want to save this export? A WebGL, just like many of the Unity projects, it's not a single file. It's actually a folder that is going to include multiple files that need to be uploaded. So we need to put this in a folder that has all the elements to our WebGL. And you'll notice that when I open the WebGL window, it automatically takes me to the folder location of my game. So in my game folder, I have all these other folders that are created with the Unity editor, and I'm going to right click in here. I'm just going to do new folder, and I'm going to call this folder build. And I'm going to double click in this folder, and that is where I want my WebGL to be saved. I'm going to hit select folder. And now it's going to go through the process of actually building the game project. And this again could take a few moments. That our browser has loaded up, it's going to ask us some questions here about allowing the JavaScript. We're going to allow the JavaScript. And there we are. We have our working game in the browser, which we can go ahead and test play through. Once we have played through our game and are happy with it, I'm going to go ahead and close out the browser window. And I'm going to go ahead and close our build settings. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and want to save our Unity project and exit out of here. I have navigated to my Unity project folder, and I'm going to go into the build folder here. And in this build folder are all the files that Unity created to export this WebGL, including two folders, a secondary build folder and a template data folder. Now I need all of these files to be zipped in order to upload to itch.io. Now, one of the things that you do not want to do, if I go back to the root menu of the project, I don't want to zip the build folder, because if I right click on the build folder and tell it to send it to compressed zip, it will zip the folder. So I've got a folder inside of a folder essentially, and it will not work on itch.io. You have to only zip the files. So if I go into the build folder and select its contents, so now I've selected everything, I can right click and choose send to compressed zip. And from here, I can name my project. So I'm going to say my first game dash WebGL. And so this zip file has all the files that are inside my build folder, including the two folders. And this is the zip file that we're going to eventually upload to a platform like itch.io. And if you would like more information on how to actually get it to itch.io, there will be a link in the description for a video uploading your game to itch.io. Otherwise, that is the gist of exporting your project as a WebGL export. I hope you found this lesson informative, and don't forget to check out other lessons and tutorials on the channel. So what are you waiting for? Get creative today!